Welcome to Acuity Acumen, the leadership podcast hosted by me, Deanna Armstrong. Hit subscribe and learn how great leaders think, decide, and show up like a boss. Welcome to Acuity Acumen, the podcast where we illuminate leadership and inspire change. I'm your host, Deanna Armstrong, and today's guest is Dr. Rose Pedretti, a molecular biologist, innovator, and co-founder of AmyGo Solutions, a biotech company focused on early detection of cardiac amyloidosis. In today's episode, we begin with Rose's leadership journey from her PhD research at UT Southwestern to the moment she decided to translate that science into a company. We talk about what it takes to lead from the lab to the startup world, how breakthrough science becomes real-world impact, and why clarity of purpose may be the most important leadership trait of all. So, if you are building in biotech or learning how to lead through complexity, this episode is for you. So let's welcome Dr. Rose Pedretti. Welcome to Acuity Acumen, Rose.
Thank you so much for having me, Deanna. I feel really honored and blessed to be here and sharing my story today.
Well, awesome. And we're excited to have you here and to learn more about your story. So let's get started. We'll have the episode goes into two different parts. In the first part, we'll talk about you and your leadership style because, you know, I am a leadership coach. So I like to talk about leadership. And then in the second part, we'll talk about your biotech journey. And we'll go more into your company, AmyGo. Will that work?
That's perfect.
Okay, so if you could just, I think you would do a way better job of introducing yourself. So tell us about you, Rose, and your journey to how we got here today.
Yeah, of course. I'm a New Yorker, born and bred, so I'm from up north. I did my undergrad in biochemistry. I got my bachelor's of science in biochem from Nazareth University in Rochester, New York. I had a lot of women who inspired me and pushed me to go on beyond undergrad to pursue a PhD at a time that I didn't know what a PhD meant.
Oh, interesting.
So I came down to Dallas to do my PhD in molecular biology from UT Southwestern. Stayed, loved it. You know, I've been here ever since.
It's hard to leave Texas, isn't it?
I know. It's got such a soft spot in my heart now. I can't imagine going back north, but don't tell my parents that, please.
Your secret is safe with me and all of them too. So,
okay.
But one of the things I wanted to learn more about, you mentioned you started in academia, but now you've started your own company.
Yes.
So can you talk about what leadership means to you from that perspective and just give us a little more insight to what it takes to be so bold?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question because, to be honest, up until we got to the point when you started asking me, I shouldn't mention that.
Yes, you can. No, yeah.
Oh, I can?
Yeah.
In our pre-meeting, I was I never actually thought about my leadership style until you actually had asked me. And I was a natural born leader for a while, and I didn't realize it. But for me, being a leader is about leading by example. So I like to set the standard for how I expect my teammates to work. So I want to set that standard for them. And
so what has shaped your approach to leadership?
Yeah, for me, being a leader is all about setting the standard that I expect my teammates to meet and exceed. So being an early stage scientist, very early in her career, a lot of your value comes from what you're able to produce and the integrity and quality of data that you can generate and what you can actually contribute to the field because you don't have a seasoned reputation yet.
So that's interesting, right? You don't have that seasoned reputation yet. So what made you decide to say, well, I'm going to start my own company even though I'm just finishing school? Is that normal or is that?
I think for people that I've talked to, it's not.
Okay.
I'm stubborn and I'm not afraid to take risks with things. If I truly feel passionate in the mission that I believe in, I'm going to do whatever it takes to succeed, which is a blessing and a curse, right? That stubbornness
yes.
of I'm going to put my mind to it. Once I've made a decision on something, I'm just going to go for it and I'm going to figure it out along the way because I don't have a business background. My background is purely technical, scientific. And when I started the company, I didn't know the first thing about building and running a company, and everything has been learning on the job. through my experience.
Build the plane as you fly it.
Yes, build the plane as you fly it. Exactly.
And when you think about that, what have been some of the surprises as you started going through this process?
Yeah, I think for me at the beginning, I had to very quickly learn how to deal with my imposter syndrome.
What is imposter syndrome?
I think for me, it's when you walk into a room and you feel like the least qualified person in the room. You feel like you don't deserve to be sitting in the room with the people that you're sitting with, when in fact you do, because you've accomplished so much.
Absolutely.
And you've been able to do so much in such a short amount of time. And for me, when I first started the company, the imposter syndrome was, I don't know anything about running a company. I don't know anything about what this actually takes. And there was a lot of doubt at the beginning.
But you still kept pressing through. Why?
Yes.
What drove you?
Yeah, so at the end of the day, I mean, for us, it's all about the patients. We truly believe that we can impact the patients in a positive way. And even if things don't move and go according to plan, we'll have been able to shift the needle in improving their standard of care, even just if it's by a little bit, and bring more awareness to cardiac amyloidosis. So that's part of it, but also I'm really blessed to have a very supportive team of people, my personal board of directors, so to speak.
Yes, I love that. When you talk about personal board of directors, it's important.
Yes,
right?
It's so important. And just having people that can be in your corner no matter what, give you the reassurance that, you've done so much work and you've worked so hard. And, as long as you continue to be resilient and work very hard, it's all going to work out the way it was meant to be.
I love that. And I know we talked a little bit about kind of the same thing, maybe stemming from the imposter syndrome, because you work through it and you continue to show up in these rooms.
Yeah.
However, being young and being female may come with different challenges or different approaches. Can you share a little bit about your experiences as you've been going out, probably seeking investors, and just getting the word out there about what you all are doing with AmyGo Solutions?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that question because more often than not, I am the youngest person in the room. And sometimes people don't take you seriously because of that. And I've had people tell me, you're too young to be doing this. You need more training, yada, yada, whatever. And I don't know. I mean, I'm a scientist. I let the data speak for itself. I know that the technology we've developed and the clinical validation that we've done is so important, and it's so critical to telling our story. And I think that gives us a level of ethos that when I do walk into those rooms, I can have confidence. And I know that if I let the data speak for itself, people will have a higher chance of taking me seriously. Don't get me wrong. There's definitely people that still don't, and they're like, you're too young, but I don't listen to those people, Right,
you can't, because you'll always have those people there. Like for me, I look young, so when I walk into a room, they treat me the same way, but they don't realize that I'm like their mother's age, or they're, I'm old enough to be their sister. More, we're probably 2 to 3 years apart. But my thing is, if you have the education, if you have the skill set and the knowledge needed to complete whatever task it is, it doesn't matter what your age is. It doesn't matter what your gender is. It's like what you're saying, let the data speak for itself, but also let my work speak for itself. The way I've done this work, not just the data, it didn't just come along, but I created the protocols, I created the process to get this information out there to the world.
Absolutely.
So I encourage you to continue doing what you're doing and break down those walls.
Yeah, I think, and another point to add on that, having a PhD, a lot of PhDs end up not doing anything remotely related to what their thesis work was. But the soft skills, those unspoken, non-technical skills of critical thinking, being able to really assess a situation and know when to pivot, and evaluating things holistically, I think that brings a very competitive edge when it comes to PhDs, because we're very good at assessing situations and figuring out, we're trained to problem solve on a daily basis.
Right.
And me, I am full confidence in my ability to do that. So I know that no matter what, I'm going to figure out a way to get it done.
I love that. And one of the things, too, you talked about soft skills. And when we're looking at this age of AI that we're in, right, is hot is here. And we look at how we need to reskill and upskill ourselves and our workforce to continue to be productive in the future. Soft skills, that's very key. When you talk about empathy, when you talk about communication skills too, because sometimes when you're the person behind the molecule on the bench, you may have a challenge communicating that to others.
Yes.
So what are some of the things that you're doing to prepare yourself to be able to communicate the value proposition that you all have with your product that you're creating?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of it has been work that I've done during my PhD. Our lab, we are very friendly towards trainees and people that just want research experience. So every year we bring in tons of people from all different educational levels, and we're all mentoring each other. So I've had the privilege to mentor a bunch of high schoolers, undergrads, middle schoolers, and just teach them what it means to have a research project and a big question that you're trying to answer. And if you imagine, I'm 4 years into my PhD and I have to explain something to a 16, 17-year-old that doesn't have an undergraduate degree, hasn't been working on this for as long as I have. It takes a lot of practice and a lot of trial and error to learn how to actually communicate those technical ideas to them. So I think a lot of that work has played into now, one of my biggest skills, which is being able to communicate my science to many different audiences. And then beyond that, it's just practicing, practicing with my parents, who neither of them are scientifically trained, practicing with, my friends that are not in the academic realm.
Okay.
It's a lot of trial and error. And believe me, I've had times when I've tried to give talks to people about the company and it kind of just goes right over their heads. And usually they'll ask follow-up questions. And I always ask people for feedback about what did I communicate well? What didn't I communicate well? How do you think I can improve? I think that's the biggest thing is like when you're trying to pitch a company or pitch an idea, it's an iterative process.
It is.
You're constantly trying to refine your message and how you deliver that message. And so it's evolved over time, which has allowed me to get better.
And that's great, because I think you just mentioned another soft skill, and that's self-awareness.
Yes.
And seeking out that feedback. And that's a key leadership trait. So I know earlier you talked about, I don't know about leadership, but you also said you were a natural born leader, and you're naturally doing a lot of the things that are important to be a successful leader. And another part of being a successful leader is having that vision and having people come alongside of you to execute on that vision. And it sounds like you do have that great team.
Yeah, I'm very blessed that we have a wonderful team. So it's myself, my two other co-founders, so my thesis advisor, Dr. Lorena Salisis, who we pretty much started our academic journey together. I mean, she's been in academia a while, but she started her lab in 2020 when I started my PhD.
Okay.
So, and our other co-founder, who's an instructor, Dr. Bin Nguyen, he is, again, joined the lab at the same time that I did. So we have a really good foundation that we've built over years, and this is just one of the byproducts of that.
Like a natural progression.
A natural progression, absolutely.
And that makes me wonder, who are some of the women that made space for you in the room for you to get to where you are today?
Yeah. So Lorena's incredible. I owe so much of what I've been able to accomplish and what I'm doing now to her. I also would not have made it this far without my undergraduate research advisor, Dr. Sanella Lampa-Pastor, over at Nazareth College.
In New York?
In New York. Back up in New York, yeah.
Okay.
She saw the potential in me to actually have a career in research from my very first semester, because she taught my gen chemistry course. And then after the course ended, she pretty much took me aside and was like, have you thought about research? And I was like, what?
What is that?
Pretty much like, I mean, I don't know. Because at the time I was like, I want to be a pediatrician. I want to be a doctor. I want to help people. I mean, I still am a doctor, but not the same way. And she was the one who took me under her wing from very early on in my undergrad career and taught me what it meant to do research, to conduct research. And then, 2 years later, I'm finishing my junior year of college. She kind of had the same discussion of, have you thought about doing a PhD? And I was like, what's that exactly? So she paved the way for me to have this incredible trajectory, and Lorena has accelerated it. And obviously, I mean, I can't talk about women without talking about my mother, who has sacrificed so much and believed in me through every step of this process. Even if she doesn't fully understand what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, you know, growing up, she's influenced so much of who I am.
Oh, that's so sweet. And one of the things you made me think about, because I asked specifically about women, but a lot of times you hear that girls don't want to do science. They don't want to do math. But that doesn't, do you feel like that's still true today versus it was, 10, 15, 20 years ago?
Absolutely not. I feel like my generation and the generations beyond me, like, there are so many more girls coming up, and they're highly ambitious and they want to achieve a lot. And we want to challenge ourselves. I think that the traditional thought of what it means to be a scientist is completely changing now. I don't think it is. It's the same as what it was 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago.
So what advice do you have for young middle school girls or and boys, like kids in middle school and beyond, as to why science?
Yeah.
And even you mentioned like medical doctor versus PhD in science. Why would you go either way? What do you recommend?
I think, to clarify, you mean whether or not to pick a doctor or PhD, or just why science in
why
general?
science in general? And then, because I know a lot of people know medicine, but I don't know how many people know about being a bench scientist.
Yeah. Well, I mean, doctors can't exist and give medicine without the scientists that actually discovered the drug and figured out how it worked and, actually brought it to the point where we could do clinical trials in humans. And so for me, I think I really loved science from a young age because of that problem-solving aspect. And if I had to give advice to my younger self or people who are listening who are much younger, I would say find people who stick up for you, who believe in you, who see potential in you and push you to be better. Because I had quite a few of those people growing up as well.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah, of course.
And I wanted to switch a little more into AmyGo Solutions. And I always get confused on how you pronounce the name of the company. AmyGo.
Like friend.
Oh, like friend. So how did you...
Like three amigos.
I thought we were doing it. You started talking. Come on.
I'm sorry, I thought you were you did the hair and you were going
All right, that was good.
It's fun.
We can keep it in there, though.
Three amigos. I love it.
Yeah, let's keep it in there.
I mean, it is. It's very...
You are the three amigos. That's
Yes.
so funny. And so that's how you came up with the name, because of three dear friends. Okay.
Yeah.
And what drives you? Like, why is this your mission in life?
Yeah, absolutely. So AmyGo Solutions, our company, is dedicated to improving the diagnostic care for people with cardiac amyloidosis. So for those people who don't know, we study a disease that's basically the equivalent of whole body Alzheimer's, where if you think about an Alzheimer's disease, you have plaques in your brain made up of misshapen proteins that self-assemble and accumulate, causing your neurons to die. There's a class of diseases known as systemic amyloidosis, where that actually happens in your whole body. And so the work that we've been doing on one of these diseases, transthyretin amyloidosis, causes heart failure. And it's actually a very under-recognized cause of heart failure in the U.S. So,
do you know the prevalence at all of that?
So there's about 5,000 to 7,000 patients that are actually diagnosed each year, but it's estimated that 98% of cases are actually undiagnosed or misdiagnosed as other forms of heart failure. And we believe that one of the biggest contributors to this is there's actually no blood test to detect this disease. And so a lot of the work I did during my thesis was looking at the shapes of these plaques coming from patient heart tissues and using those unique shapes to design novel molecules that bind to those shapes. And what we did is we actually found a novel blood biomarker for this disease. And
So what is a biomarker?
yeah, so it is a molecule that can be found in your blood or other fluids that can fluctuate depending on diet, exercise, other environmental factors like cholesterol or other things.
And so is your solution like a diagnostic test
We hope
or a
it.
treatment?
Yeah, so it would be a diagnostic tool that we can use to screen people who are at risk of developing this disease. Because
Okay.
another thing I haven't mentioned is there's actually 140 documented mutations. Actually, I think the number is closer to over 200 last I checked.
Wow.
Very recently that paper came out, but there's over 200 known mutations that are thought to contribute to this disease actually happening.
Okay.
And
You have a diagnostic test. So your goal is what? When patients go and they have a simple blood draw?
Yeah.
Okay.
so our goal is to eventually be like the next cholesterol test. So you know how when you go to the primary care doctor every year and you get screened for certain things in your blood that tell you your risk of developing certain kinds of diseases, that's where we want to be. We
Okay.
want to be incorporated because our data shows that we can actually detect these misshapen plaques in your blood as early as 40 years old in some patients.
And when people usually present with like heart failure, what age is that?
Yeah, so typically it's depending on the mutation and the other things like the ethnicity of the person, it could be 60 to 70s. But the thing is, the major problem is from the time a person actually has symptoms to when they get diagnosed, it takes 3 to 7 years for that whole process to happen. And the life expectancy of a person with cardiac amyloidosis is less than 10 years from symptom onset. So you figure by the time a lot of these patients are actually being diagnosed, they don't have much longer left to live and their quality of life is not great. And we want to be able to be the new standard of care for diagnosing cardiac amyloidosis.
Good, because once you diagnose it, then you can treat.
Yes, so there's 5 FDA-approved treatments for this disease that are
Okay.
currently on the market and many more in clinical trials right now. So a lot of clinicians that we're talking to, they're shifting their attention away from treating these patients because the treatments that they have work decently enough to actually capturing these patients much earlier before they have a lot of plaques in their heart. Because once you have the plaque buildup, that heart damage is pretty much irreversible.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, this is exciting. So, why should an investor invest in AmyGo Solutions?
Yeah, that's a great question that I am still trying to answer for many people.
Yes.
I think what makes us appealing to an investor is we've gotten a lot of interest from pharmaceutical companies that want to work with us because another thing that I haven't mentioned is we can actually use our test to monitor a person's response to treatment too. So not only can we capture these patients earlier, but we can also see, if certain dosages of medications are having an impact on the patient. And to be fair, we have a lot of clinical studies left to do to actually hash that out more fully. But I think that we're well positioned at a point in terms of timing and unmet need to really revolutionize this field and enter the market at a point when this unmet need is most critical. Because there's treatments out there. And these treatments improve quality of life for patients, but a lot of these patients are just not being captured. So I think what makes us appealing to an investor is we've gotten a lot of outside interest from pharma companies that want to work with us, but also doctors that work at these specialized amyloid clinics.
Fantastic. And when you are looking at where you are in your journey to getting your product approved,
Yeah.
how does that process work for device? I guess diagnostics approval. And where are you today?
Yeah. So we have intellectual property that covers the molecule, but right now the main limitation is we need this to be readily deployable, that we can just send a test kit out and either to specialized diagnostic centers or healthcare systems or pharma companies that want to run tests. So what my current research is focusing on is actually getting to that test kit, because right now all we have is just the molecule that detects the plaques in the blood. But we want something that's high throughput, quantitative, that we can sell to people as a product. And I think we can get to that within the next 2 years if everything goes well, fingers crossed.
Okay.
Because we're fundraising currently through angel investors, accelerator programs, and federal grants. But in terms of once we have that product, which is our next biggest milestone we're trying to hit, we then want to do real world studies to refine it so that by the time we pursue regulatory approval in hopefully 3 to 4 years, we're well positioned and we can have as little pushback as possible.
Yeah, and so it's a journey.
It's a journey. It is a journey.
And with all key milestones that you have along the way, but you're moving forward.
Yes.
And you're hitting those milestones and uncovering other issues and addressing those and continuing to move forward. So I'm really excited for the future and what to come with AmyGo Solutions. As we start to come to an end and wrap up, I just want to give you a chance. Is there anything else you want people to know about AmyGo Solutions or about you as a person and the work that you are doing?
Absolutely. I would like people to know that they are more than welcome to reach out to me on LinkedIn. My company's on LinkedIn. That's where we do a lot of our posting. We're in a very exciting time for AmyGo because we recently won a ton of awards at a pitch competition through the Nucleate program, which is a program I did.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, we won.
So what is the program?
Yeah, so it's a student-led organization that is designed to help academic trainees learn what it takes to actually develop a startup, from formal incorporation to IP strategy, assessing technical risk, market risk, regulatory strategy, your approach to fundraising, all of these things.
A little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything.
And you won.
And yes, so at the pitch competition that I did a couple weeks ago, we won a Biolabs golden ticket. So we got a year of free lab space.
Wow.
We also got, I know. Yes,
that's worth a lot of money.
It's worth a lot of money, yes.
Oh, wow.
But
Congrats.
on top of that, we got 6 weeks of free consulting through the Consulting Club at Texas Medical Center. Okay. And we also got the Alnylam Scientific Excellence Award. So we are doing a lot.
Yes.
We got a lot coming up in the next year, 2 years.
It speaks to the need that you're filling, right? Because there's value in it. And also it speaks to the quality, like you said, of your science, letting your science speak for itself.
Absolutely.
And not only is it speaking for itself, but you're learning to even speak for it better and kicking butt and taking names along the way.
Yeah, I think to add on to that, a lot of people have told me, because obviously when you start a startup, you have a lot of different meetings with a lot of different people just trying to figure out what the heck you're even supposed to be doing, right? And a lot of people have told me, the diagnostics world is very hard. It's very difficult. It's not like therapeutics where investors can see a very large return on their investment. And I don't know, I'm very mission driven. So I'm very happy to connect with people who are like-minded. And, if you or someone is very passionate about something and they don't quite understand how they're going to get from point A to point Z, I would encourage people to just, if you're that passionate about seeing your mission fulfilled, you just need to go for it.
Go for it.
Because, when I started the company, I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea.
But you kept doing.
Yes, but you kept doing.
And there's so much information out there now.
Absolutely.
You learned about these programs. You continue to educate yourself. But to be honest, there are people that say, well, how did you start a podcast? Why do you start a podcast? Like, I was sitting up one day, I saw a need and I did it.
Yes.
But not everybody's like us.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's why we have the podcast too, so you can start to see some of the skills and the traits in people like Dr. Pedretti. And there are some natural born leaders, but I also believe that leadership is taught.
Absolutely.
And you can be taught these things and taught these skills by continuing to network with folks like you're doing, educating yourself, and continue to move forward.
Absolutely.
So speaking of moving forward, one of the things that we talk about is the blooming biotech ecosystem we have in Texas.
Yes.
When you think about 10 years from now, and you look back on your career, which you'll still be young in your career. Right. And you think about this blooming biotech ecosystem here in Texas, what would you like for them to say Dr. Rose Pedretti's role was in this development?
Love that question. I want to be an integral part of bringing in more investors. I feel like North Texas has given me so much, and I haven't been in Dallas for very long, only 4 or 5 years now. But I feel like it's given so much to me, and I just want to give back to the ecosystem. Dallas has been a very big part of who I am today, and I have such a warm place in my heart for it. I want to be able to say that, you know, I was integral to the development of the North Texas ecosystem and a pioneer woman entrepreneur leader. And just to inspire people that, like, it doesn't matter how young you are, you know, what your gender, sex, race, ethnicity is, like, you can do it, you know. There's going to be struggles and hurdles, but there's struggles and hurdles for everybody. And if you have that resilience, right, that's all you need is that resiliency.
Yes. Well, awesome. Well, thank you. I'm excited, and I hope that as you grow, you keep your lab here in North Texas, maybe.
I'm not planning on moving anywhere anytime soon.
Research Quarter. Good. Yes. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Dr. Pedretti. It's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast. Dr. Rose Pedretti is not waiting her turn. She is building the future now. From academic rigor to startup resilience, her journey reminds us that leadership is not about age or permission. It's about purpose, clarity, and the courage to act. If this conversation sparked something in you, whether you are leading a team, launching an idea, or navigating the unknown, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember to follow Acuity Acumen for more stories at the intersection of science, leadership, and impact. Until next time, keep illuminating leadership and inspiring change. Thanks for joining us on Acuity Acumen. I hope you found today's episode filled with insights that inspire change and drive your leadership forward. In a rapidly evolving industry, your role as a leader is crucial. If you enjoyed this episode, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify to catch our upcoming discussions. This podcast is proudly sponsored by Armstrong Walker Coaching and Consulting. Are you ready to elevate your impact? Reach out for personalized coaching or to explore Acuity Acumen Leadership Institute. Together, we can illuminate leadership and inspire change. Keep leading boldly and making an impact. Until next time.